The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jamie D'Addario, and today I'll be reviewing the initial steps to help you set up your new Design Manager program. The focus of this webinar will be to enter in your company information and logo, set up your pricing styles and how you wish to show them to your client, review sales tax, and change other users' security. I'll be using the Pro Cloud version for our demonstration today. However, the steps are quite similar in our DM Cloud version. If you have any questions or trouble following along, please use the question pane in your GoToMeeting panel, or you may also email us at sales@designmanager.com. Before we start, I usually like to show the many options for help and support that Design Manager offers. You can visit our Help Center. It's found in the right-hand side of our Design Manager Vision pane. Here you can search the many articles and tutorials for specific help topics. You'll also find links to recorded webinars and to the manual within the program. This manual can also be found inside Design Manager. You simply click on the question mark on any window to learn more about that topic. Live webinars are offered for free approximately every other Thursday. These webinars do focus on a specific topic chosen for that day. You can register for an upcoming webinar on our website. Just click on the Live Webinars option under the support link. Each webinar is recorded and available to be watched at your leisure. You'll find past recorded webinars in our Help Center. If you need any other personal support, please contact our internal support team via the contact support link in the Design Manager Vision or by email or phone. All support during your trial period, as well as the first 2 months of support after purchase, is free. Now let's get started with Design Manager. When you first log in for the first time, this company information window is going to appear. Here's where you're going to type in your basic company name, address, email, and other information. And what you enter here is going to show on your printed documents. Now, if you have already bypassed this window, to get back to it, you're going to select File, Company Information, and Settings, and that will get you right back into that window. Also found here are our advanced options. Here is where you can actually configure the defaults for your program and project settings. We're going to come back to this section later and just move on over to our Logo tab. You can put in a logo in the system. You can load that logo from your computer, and once you enter it once, it will be in the system for you. Simply click on the Logo tab and click on the Load button and browse through your computer to find your logo and select it. It is suggested that the logo file size itself be 100 kilobytes or less. A JPEG or any other type of picture file would be fine. The bigger the file size of that logo is, it'll take a little bit longer to print some of your documents. We do have some suggested required resolutions and good settings. We will actually send along a link in an email following up after the webinar today. So we'll put a link in the email where you can see those specific details on the proper logo settings. But you can also find that in our knowledge base if you were to search under logo. Once you've loaded your logo, you're going to click OK, and that's going to save your changes, and that also takes you back out of that window. In order to send an email from the Design Manager program, you're going to want to complete the email field under File, User Settings, right there. You can also put in a title as well for yourself and a name. To send an email directly from Design Manager, you're going to have it select the DM server SMTP, which is typically already selected for you. Once you select that, you'll select OK. Next, we're going to review the different merchandise pricing styles. Design Manager has the ability to set default pricing styles on an overall company level, as well within each project and individual item. You're going to use your company settings for your typical pricing style, basically what you're going to use 9 times out of 10. To enter those, we're going to go back up to File, Company Information and Settings, and we're going to select our Advanced button and the General tab. Two terms in our system to know are the cost and price. The term cost means company's cost to purchase the goods or services, and price is the amount that you expect to bill to your client. There are 6 different component types in our Design Manager, and 5 of them can be set up with a different pricing style. You can select from markup, discount, or fee. Markup option, when you select that, is usually chosen when you want to mark up the cost of the goods of your services, and the system will automatically calculate that price to your client. So for example, if your cost is, say, $1,000 and you enter in your 30% percentage markup, you're going to actually charge the client a price of $1,300. And I'll show you an example here. Here's what our item would look like with a markup of 30%. My cost is $1,000. The system automatically will do a sell price to the client for $1,300. The discount option is typically used when you'd like to enter a list price and give a discount percent to determine the price to the client. Using discount actually has no bearing on what the cost is for you from the vendor. It's based on a list price. So for example, if you were to put in a list price of a component of $1,000 and set it to discount, let's say a 20% discount, you're actually only going to charge the client $800 for that item. An example of that would be a discount, 20%. We may know our cost and enter that, but it certainly doesn't matter what that is as long as we have our unit list in here, then it's going to base our discount on our list price. So the sell price will be $800 in this example. The last option is for fee. This allows you to enter a base cost of a good or service and charge a purchasing fee upon that cost. Fee pricing is usually used when you're maybe not purchasing the actual merchandise itself, but do require a purchasing fee from your client. However, purchasing fees are also used either instead of a markup or in conjunction with a markup. So some people like to add it as an additional charge along with a markup. In our example here, we're going to do the same $1,000 item and put in a 15% fee. And what we're going to do here to charge the client, we're only charging them $150, 15%. So fee is 15%. The cost is $1,000. We're only going to charge them just for a fee of $150. All right, so now that we know what they mean, you can actually go through and select the proper percentage type for each of your component types, and then enter the default percentage amount as well. When you're proposing your items to your client, if you wish to include freight or any other types in the requested deposit percent, you're going to want to make sure that you keep this box here under Include and Deposit checked off. Otherwise, you can uncheck them. This last column is for auto. This allows us to tell the system if we want to automatically add this component type to each item that we create. So if you typically charge a freight or a design fee for all of your items, we do suggest that you check that box off for those component types. Two other important options to review on this window are to decide if you wish to actually have sales tax included in your deposit, and if there's a default client deposit percentage that you typically request or require when you are doing your proposal. Entering this information here will populate them to each of our projects created. If I move on to the Proposal tab of our Company Advanced Options, we can actually see those same component types And we have an option here for how to show these component types to our client, which is under our style. There are 4 style types that you can use: combine, list, total, and ignore. Combine is going to add the amount for the component type into the price of the corresponding item. So for example, if we were to propose 2 items that are each priced at $1,000 and each of them have $50 of freight, the price next to each of these items is actually going to be $1,050 in the body of the proposal when we select combine. So what it would do for freight is it's going to hide that freight from the client and combine it in the total price. And here's an example of what that would look like on your proposal. Your item price is $1,000, but this is including the freight as a combined amount. So the client will not know at that point how much freight is. Another option would be list, and this is going to actually show the amount for the component type below each of the items in the body of that proposal. The title, freight, or design fee, or any of your component type titles would actually print next to that amount. And for our example, we're actually going to see $1,000 for the item, and it's going to list $50 for the freight. So it's going to show our $1,000 item and our $50 for our freight broken out for each of our items. And that is the list option. The next option is ignore, and that's going to, for all of your items, actually total them and put it at the bottom of the last page in the footer of that proposal. So if we propose those same 2 items, same amounts, we're actually going to display the items as $1,000 each, but show a total of $100 because each of them had 50. So we'll just see a total of our freight. So that is selecting our total style. The last one's quite obvious. It's actually ignore, and that's not going to show or include the amount of that component type anywhere on our proposal. So if we were to do a proposal with entered $50 of freight in our example, we would only see $1,000. They will never see the freight on there at all. The proposal tab also has an area here for remarks. You can enter any remarks you wish to include on your proposal document. If you put them here, it'll populate down to all of your project proposals in your future projects. These remarks will actually appear at the bottom of the last page of your proposal. The next tab is our Invoice tab. Again, we're going to see those same options on how to show our component types to the client on our invoice document now. You can set them the same as the proposal or make them different for your invoice. You can also enter in different remarks that will print on future invoices. The Purchase and Work Order tab has very similar options, except here these remarks are actually for delivery tickets. And this is something that only our Pro Cloud users are going to see. The DM Cloud users do not have an area to put in remarks for purchase orders. Now, Pro Cloud users can also add conditions to their POs, but it is on an overall. It is not down to the one PO or one project level. To do that, you're actually going to go back to the main company information window and select the PO tab, and you'll see a conditions area. What you type in here will show up on all of your purchase orders. When you are finished with any of your conditions or your remarks, you can select OK to make sure that you save them. And that's going to close our company advance window. We're going to actually go back in though, because I'd like to get to that last advanced tab for time. If you bill your clients for a recorded time that you spent on their project, you're going to want to review these settings. But if you don't, you can certainly ignore them. For those of you that bill your clients for time, you can decide here if you want to create a new time item for every entry, or If you wish the system to join your time as one item for month, you can actually enter the join to time item. If you bill on a monthly basis, I highly suggest selecting the join to time option and selecting the automatically create monthly item. This is actually going to help speed up your process when you're entering your time. The system will make a new time entry automatically for you each month, and all employees that enter their time for that project for that month will get it automatically conjoined to that one item. This makes billing super simple. When you go to create an invoice for the time for that month, you only have to check off that one item. And all of the information of all of the time that's connected to it can still be shown. And I do have an example. Here is an invoice for time for our item for the month of October. It'll give a total of the 7 hours here. And then underneath, we can actually have the breakdown of the employee, the description of work, the date, any time information, the hours, the rate, and the amount. So I do highly suggest if you are billing for time and you can do it monthly, the system will automatically be super simple if you set up to join your time. There are many options for time entries. So we do have, and how they show on your invoices. So there's just a lot of ways to enter your time and how they show on your invoices. We do actually have documentation on that, certainly in our help center with our articles and tutorials. And once again, I'll make sure that after the webinar is over, in an email, I will send direct links to those for you so that you can review them and get more help on that specific topic. I'm just going to pause for a minute here and just check to see if there's any questions. If you have any questions, they're over in your GoToMeeting panel. You can type them in and you can let us know and we can help you out. Any questions about what we're discussing, or if you have any other sales questions, we'll certainly look into that. All right, it looks like someone's actually asking about our time and wondering if we have any other special import options. And that is one thing that we do actually have in our system. So when you go into employee time, we do have the ability here to import from a file. And Design Manager actually has a Excel file that we've pre-generated. It's a template, and you could email that template to all of your users, and they don't need to even know how to use Design Manager. They can just plug their time into an Excel sheet, send it back to you, and then you can import that timesheet into the system. So that is one option that we do have. Some people also are already using a special app that they really like to put in their time. As long as your app is able to export itself to either an Excel or a CSV, comma separated value file, you can actually get that into Design Manager in the same way using that import window. So once you've entered in those time options in your company information, you can select OK to close out. But if you want to go back and review that, you'll just go to Company Information Advanced and go to that Time tab. Our next important topic is going to be sales tax codes. Design Manager comes preloaded with only one sales tax code for out-of-state, non-taxable sales tax. So you're going to actually need to go into the system and add your codes for any areas, states, and different tax rules that you're conducting business in that you want to collect and remit sales tax for. It's very highly suggested that you review your rules for your state or area with an accountant or other professional that has sales tax knowledge. Your sales tax codes will be able to be selected when creating a project, and in fact, it is required when you create a new project. So the goal would actually be ideal to get your important sales tax codes entered first so you can begin your new project right away. Each project will use only one sales tax code, and all of the item components will base their tax amounts on the code selected for that project. To create a new sales tax code, you're going to go to the accounting menu, and you're going to select under the list and glossaries for sales tax codes. You're going to click add and enter your code and your description. Now we're in Pennsylvania, so I'm just going to put in our Pennsylvania codes here. So for example, I'm going to click the add button here, and now I have an authority, so let's just call it and in Pennsylvania, everything, as far as I know, is all based off of a 6% sales tax amount. So if I type 6 and hit my tab button, it will fill in all of my different component types. So I can have, if my state or area has a different percentage type for, say, freight, design fee, installation, crating, or time, I can actually edit each of those individually. And I know like areas like New York, they actually charge a different percentage on their design fees. But in Pennsylvania, except for only 2 counties, everything is 6%. So I'm going to enter in my 6% and select OK. Next, we have to tell the system which account is actually going to be used for our sales tax withholding account. And this is generally the 2100 sales tax collected account. Below, you can select what taxable defaults are, and you're telling the system if merchandise is taxable or not. If it is taxable, you will leave it checked. If it is not, you can uncheck the box. Typically, if you uncheck that box, that means that your percentage should also be set to 0 for that component type. All right, so now that we've got them all checked, because again, we're in Pennsylvania, we're going to keep them checked. If you live somewhere where you know it's not, you're going to uncheck that. And once you've entered in that sales tax information, we're going to click OK to save it. If you have any additional sales tax codes that you are going to be conducting business in, you're going to want to make sure you select Add again and enter that one as a separate sales tax code. Again, the idea is if you can get your most important ones in the beginning, it's really great to help you kind of go fast through creating a new project. Okay, so the last section that we're going to review today is security. The main user is the admin user. This user will have full rights that cannot be changed, and that user will want to go in and set up security settings for any other users that you have. Doing this will ensure that users have access only to the areas you wish them to. All DM Cloud user accounts will come with full admin rights. However, Pro Cloud users will actually have their names most likely set to unconfigured. And that means that the admin user will need to go in and go to those users and actually change the security for them. To set up our security, we're going to go up to File, Company Information and Settings, and select the Users and Security. We're going to highlight the user we wish to make our changes to and select the pencil. And now we're going to see all of the areas that we can actually add things to or lock. To set up one user, you just go under each of your different options, and you'll see there's quite a few. If you have multiple users and they're going to have similar securities, you can create the one and get it set up and ready to go, and then actually select on your next one, you can say copy from, and copy those same exact rights from the user that you have already set up. Now, one important place that is good to go in and actually lock would be the company information. So what we want to do is double click on our view access so that they can't actually get into the company information area where they could then change their own access. So we want to go in there and we want to lock this. And to lock, we're just double clicking, and you'll see that it turns from an open yellow lock to a closed locked red lock. Super simple. You can just go down through every of our options. When you lock the view axis, it will automatically lock everything under it. If you only want to lock a specific part, you'll click on just that area. Once you've actually completed this, you want to be sure to select OK to save those settings. If you have any additional users on your list, I only actually have 2, but if you had additional users, you will select that user and edit that user. Again, you can certainly copy from one of the users you've already set up if they have the same system. Okay. Looks like we actually do have a question here. Someone's asking about the time options, and do we have other options other than joining? Absolutely. So when we first looked at our time options, I'm just going to go back into our company advanced. When we go to the time window here, we can select do a new item. And so all that's going to do is automatically create a new item in the system for every one of our time entries. So if we have it set to new item and we create our time, it's going to make a nice new item in our specifications window for each of our time entries. Some people want to keep things together, and I do have a user here that looks like they bill on a bi-monthly basis. So what I do suggest for that is to join the time entries. I would make sure you don't have this option for latest uninvoiced dated item, and you're going to still have automatically create monthly item. So you'll still have this selected for join to and automatically create, and you'll select OK. What you're going to do when you add your time, so the very first time entry that you add, I'm not sure I have any employees set up in our system yet. Let's take a look. Nope. When you add your employee time entry for, say, April, it's going to automatically create a time entry for that month for April for you. What you can do is go to your specification and actually edit the dates on it. So what it will do, and I'm going to have to set up a project real quick here. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Let's go back to our specifications. I'll show you. What the system's going to do for you is it's actually going to create time for month of April entry. And it's going to include dates of 4/1 through 4/30. So if you're going to bill bi-monthly, you're going to want to come into this item that's already going to be created for you. So by already adding those join to time and automatically create time entries, by having those defaults set, it's going to make this item for you as soon as you add any time for April. And again, another for May. What you'll do is you will go to this item, you will edit this item, and you're going to change it to be, say, 4/14 and select OK. Then you're going to need to manually add an additional one for yourself. Maybe you can call it beginning of month and end of April so that you can see the difference. You'll select this time budget box here, and that'll give you the ability to put in your dates. And you'll then have 4/15 and 4/30. So you're going to end up with 2 time entries for each month. So maybe you could call this one beginning. So you'll have one for beginning and one for end of April. When you enter your employee time, it's actually going to automatically select your last one depending on the date. So if you put in a date for 4/1, it will know automatically to pick the April beginning entry and add it to that. If you put in a date after 4/15, it will know to automatically add that time to this second entry. So when you go to invoice, all you'll need to do is select whether you're billing for the month of April, beginning, or the end of April. I hope that helped with your questions. I do know that we do have many more in-depth tutorials on time, and I can certainly see if we can get some emails, a link of that in the emails for you guys so you can review them. So now that all the important details are complete, you can actually get started with creating a project, just like I showed real quickly, and some items to propose or order. Many of you may already have a list of clients or vendors that you'd like to bring into Design Manager. If you have those contacts in either an Excel or CSV format, you can bring them in by import. You'll click File, Import, and Import from File. You'll select your type. You can bring in clients. You can bring in vendors. And for our DM Pro Cloud users, you can also bring in any stock inventory. Again, that is just for our Pro Cloud users. For more help on this importing, I do suggest reviewing our help and tutorial section in the knowledge base. And again, I will make sure to include those links in the email. So with that, we've really covered a lot of the important steps of getting started in Design Manager. I'll make sure we get our follow-up email over to you with all of those links. And just want to remind you not to forget to check out our Help Center for any additional tutorials, videos. We have a YouTube playlist for each of the programs to help you get through many of our processes. If you have any questions, please remember you can contact us at sales@designmanager.com. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.